What's going on, everyone? Oh boy, so we're gonna have to do some backtracking here on my channel. And I went ahead and did that and grabbed the two videos. They're gonna say something funny at first too, but then we're gonna see, how all this plays out. Obviously, you see Nib right here, and then we have some stuff over on Twitter about Black Myth Kong as well. As you know, they say right here, "Dear Destined Ones, this summer sale is almost here, and hey, we're jumping in too. Nothing too big, just two quick things. Wondering about an Xbox version? We've got news. Black Myth Wukong will officially launch on Xbox Series X on August 20th, 2025, Beijing time. Pre-orders will be available regional Microsoft stores." Excuse me. All right. The funny thing is that it wasn't 3 or 6 months like certain people were thinking. It was actually an entire year. Sony money had it. Yeah, you better believe that. And I covered this, and there were some people that were getting mad because Turk was proving Nib wrong. So did I, along with plenty of other people who didn't know what they're talking about in these videos right here. Look at my title right here. Black Myth Wukong can run fine on Xbox, because they were saying it was the Series S and trying to basically be fanboys. And I'm like, no, that's not the problem. PC tests prove ponies wrong. Game Science lied. Sony shade 5 months ago, 4,400 views. My other video, 3,400 views 4 months ago. Devs prove Black Myth Wukong can run on Series S fine. PlayStation fanboys got owned and attack him. Yeah, that's the Turk. They got attacked. Who's actually a hardware dev, by the way. So, the dev for Xbox and PlayStation. So he was the one calling out there. We're going to go on his page real quick. Vindicated, this is the video that he did proving that. We're going to take a look at some stuff. And then he posts LOL while we wait for apologies from Nib and D-Batch. Post your favorite LOL GIFs. The funny thing about this is that he posts, here's Nib sticking to trusted devs, right? But then Nib deletes the post. He got right to it. See, the moment you do something like that, when in a situation you said some of those things, yeah, man, you're already showing that you're too much of a fanboy and that you don't want to be a man and admit that you're wrong. And he's even blocked him too, which I find funny. So going over to this video, let's look at some funny stuff real quick. So we need the game director to see and run benchmarks to see how things work. You say this when, in the tweet I'm responding to, you were inept enough to assume a flyover benchmark is indicative of max amount of RAM. Because Turk proved, because he actually knows what he's doing. I mean, he did the builds himself and did the benchmarks and scaled it, and even ran weaker builds in the Series S, and it was fine. Because it can run on there, of course it can. It'll run on Nintendo Switch too. Look, you'll see a lot of stuff like happen where you're like, yeah, that's when you realize, why did Game Science lie to cover up Sony's money hiding? Usually Sony does that in the open. That's what they're trying to say. But what happened though? You see what I mean? Like the fanboy, the corporate brainwashing, where it's like you think that about Sony, and that just shows how blind you are. I never thought that. We ready? He just proves that he's easily brainwashed by somebody that calls themselves a game director and they can't lie. Like the video game industry doesn't have liars in it. Sit down, grown man or talking child. That's right. But you see what I just said. I said this here 4 months ago about, once again, him thinking, not to mention like a fanboy zealot, you're suggesting the game's director is lying. He is. That just got proven. How is it a 1 year directly later on the same date? That's a 1 year exclusive contract to lock it off from anything Microsoft oriented. And then what they did is they shifted the camera, like on the news, to the Series S and was basically picking on it. And it's like, I could understand if it was losing the war to PlayStation and that y'all are like, trying to do that naturally. But when it's fine and it can run it and it has nothing to do with that, and you start moving to that, yeah, that's more to me more fanboy delusion and stupidity because it's like I don't understand why you're looking at the Series S because that has nothing to do with whether this was money had it or not. But I had to make the video so that I can so that I can prove. And Turk had to make the comparison video, and I reacted off it so that we could prove. Actually, to say that better, that it can run on a Series S no fine. And not only can it run on a Series S, but it can run on a PC weaker than a Series S. Never couldn't handle it when he started proving that was the case. And here's the other video: director's not capable of lying and taking a Sony paycheck. That's not possible, which I find funny here. I saved it at the perfect moment for you guys. You heard that right? That the director's not capable of lying and taking a Sony paycheck, which I find funny. 5 months ago. Nope, just proving lower end hardware is capable, and I did do better. I tested it. You'll be in the video too, clown. This is actually funny. So right here we see Turk testing the video, right? Guys, I don't know what else to say, but it says that the RAM is using 2582 right here. 2583. He's giving you the stats right here. Why are we arguing with this? We see over here the window that he's using as well. 87% of that memory is being used. And by the way, what I found funny about this too when I was covering this, and you guys know how I am about misinformation and this nonsense. Like I said, I ain't no fanboy. I'm a fanboy destroyer. But I'm so good at what I do. People will call me a fanboy on any platform that I represent because I'm very good at what I'm doing. That's different than people that are saying, "Oh no, I'm only on this platform, and you only see me speak about this." No, I've defended and represented multiple platforms and played all of them this year and beat all the games on all. I always do that. Now I'm being positive about my experiences with Nintendo, and I'm loving it. Mario Kart World is amazing. But getting back to this, what I find funny too is that Nib never came out and admitted that he was wrong about this either. Like this just shows you the immaturity of him as well, because it's like, dude, instead of deleting it, go to Turk, send him a tweet, and say, you know what, you were right, and I learned some things from you. Instead of trying to be a fanboy, that when I wasn't able to defend Sony correctly, I instead blocked you when I kept on getting proven wrong, and I didn't correct myself. And then I hid the evidence so that it could show, but the evidence is right there because you deleted the tweet. No, look, you got to think about this, man. When you see this person has deleted this tweet and they were saying something to them, you hid the evidence. You were going to look negative to the public in that sense. You should have left it alone. Why run? Like, see, it makes you look bad. You see, this is what happens when you're too much of a fanboy, too much of a pony. Sony's gonna make you look bad. Sony's making their whole base look bad this year. It's not good. I mean, they've had some, like I said, state of mids. You know what I mean, and all that. When we want to talk about like first party, obviously other people's games. I mean, it's all right, but that's what they always do. But money heading this and lying, and then having the shift to blame the Series S needs to be addressed. Like, why are somebody who's supposed to be a market leader when Nintendo's not in their prime, leading the industry, has this type of behavior? You can't even like be professional anymore. It's a shame. But getting back to this, Turk went out of his way to put together things and spend money so that he can prove this and buy the game. He didn't even like the game. This is not his type of game. And what I find funny, because I was going to get to that, is that none of them did any of this. They have no videos up showing people anything, but yet they're trying to argue against him. You should have seen the stuff they were saying. We're going to get to some stuff. What are we talking about here? Are we ready to go up to something else? This is proof. Let's go over to the next video. Okay, Neb, explain to your followers in detail how it's possible to run Black Myth Wukong with 2.3 gigabytes of system memory and 4 gigabytes of video RAM. This is the next video. You ready for this? It's right here, y'all. And this isn't to tell you that that's what you would want to launch on a console. No, it's just showing you that it can run. When all these tests were put here in front of their face, it was like either you accept these stats, like I've been telling people the past couple of days about the stats. Stats don't lie. It's telling you the truth. That's the thing. That's why stats are good, because it's like it's not going to lie to you. When people get in their fantasies and they get way too in their subjectivity, and they get into all that. You can't trust them. You know what I mean? Definitely not fair. No. But I trust these numbers because I know they're not going to change on me and lie unless somebody went to change them. And if I saw the results and I knew the person that changed them is a liar. You see what I mean? But numbers are not going to lie to you. But fanboys do lie, and they show you certain angles, and they don't give you the full truth, and they never give you full comparison, except maybe in the Nintendo world because they're winning. But yeah, this is just embarrassing. Because they were talking about more intensive aspects. 86% of the memory is being used. Keep in mind, this is a weaker setting than the Series S, and he's getting it to run. 69 frames per second. The good thing about PC, you can just turn down things and get I don't know. Frames. What do y'all think about that, huh? Because according to the ponies, it's not possible, but Turk went and did a video, and he's showing proof here. They're just sitting over there talking. I'm not trying to hear it, right? He's running videos right here. Experience. Stats, numbers. You know what I mean? He's running the experience. He's giving me the stats. He's giving me the numbers. It's not just, oh, my opinion. I don't want to hear none of that. We're going to get to the real test results. Shut all that down. Look at it. Ain't even using all the RAM. It's right there in front of you, memory and RAM, right? DRAM and memory. We've seen that right there, right? Let's see what he says. And it's right here. My God, you are really infallible, dense with these things. He's running tests. I will. Where's this guy's test at? I literally provide you evidence. No, dumbass. He's providing you evidence right here. This is insane. And he has his ponies come with him too to make comments to make it seem like the people don't know what they're talking about when they really don't do any tests. They don't. It's like I said in that last video when I was talking about the handheld being a console. He comes in and does it again. Here they come, 86 likes, right? But who was wrong? You see what I mean? They don't mean shit. Same thing with people that make some of these YouTube videos and they'll get like 20, 30, 40,000 views, but they're full of shit. They are. They're grifters. You guys know that. You know they're full of shit. They're not grifters. They're clickbaiting and rage baiting and trying to find ways to make money off of people. You know what I mean? Like the anti-Nintendo hate and all that type of stuff. It's something that needs to be targeted for them negatively so that they can get more subscribers, views, and income and all that type of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know, growing. I like to see people grow. But yeah, have some honor, you know, sometimes. Don't run any benchmarks, right? This is very funny right here, right? Not only that, but they just sit there and regurgitate and believe what the PR says, while tests and benchmarks and results are right in front of them for people who understand how things work. Yeah, in their mind, you need to get benchmarks from Sony or something, or you know, I mean, people can't do that themselves. So, do you a sitting duck? This is what we said. My God, you're really infallible with these things. I literally provide you with evidence of 720p lowest setting using 13 gigabytes in a particular area. Surely you must understand that memory usage can differ greatly depending on the scene, gameplay, assets, environment. Trying to sound smart. For a game to run on Series S, it means no scene or moment in the game can never go over 8 gigabytes or so of the usable RAM at any point. Even when you're facing multiple enemies, major bosses, and highly taxing scenes using max cloning, you can have 7 of yourself fighting simultaneously, abilities, and so on. Oh my God, bro. That would be way more taxing on the CPU and GPU. You aren't explaining why my clip works. Explain the 10 gigabytes delta. Why does the game require 10 gigabytes or more delta to be stored in the RAM VRAM? It's not asset, scene, gameplay, environment. Explain it. I can. I have evidence to show you the game reacts to how the game reacts to memory usage. Correct. Yeah, so you're seeing somebody who's actually doing test results, Turk, that's explaining how things work. While he's just sitting there commenting, saying he can't do all this and that, but his test results are right there live doing it. And that's where you realize what's like, yeah, dude, are you a child at this point? Like, you have to like, grow up and just admit that you were wrong. But we're all the way here 5 months later. He deletes the post, doesn't self-correct, doesn't do any of that. He's just mad. You know what I mean? Just say that we just wanted to attack Xbox. You didn't know if that deal was there or not. Some people did know. But what I knew is that after running these test results, when you try to shift the blame to Series S, there's something shady going on. So if it's not the Series S, then it has to be something. That's why I said you're naive to think that the director can't lie and that they won't take the Sony paycheck. I had to put those two videos right there at those funny moments so you guys could see that, oh yeah, I've been talked about this because I'm thinking the same thing. Why do you think I'm over here siding with Turk, reacting off of his videos? You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, I mean, it's just funny because if he was a better person, like I said, he would go to him and correct himself. Because these are the type of people that you're spreading all this misinformation and you're starting up something that's not real. And then you got this negativity going on that shouldn't exist over something that's not real and that never happened. And that's where I like to step in and correct it because it gets annoying. So, Paul Tassi, remember this Microsoft statement? As we have said before, we're excited for the launch of Black Myth Wukong on Xbox Series XS and are working with Game Science to bring the game to our platforms. You can't lie about that. We'd prefer not to comment on the deals made by our partners with other platform holders, but we can confirm that the delay is not due to Xbox platform limitations that have been raised to us. Mhm. And I said at that time, I found that to be believable because they already talked to them. They let them know that they made the deal and they didn't want to comment on it. And then you saw that Series S was running fine. Turk did the test. We started proving all these fanboys wrong. They got mad. And now the truth comes out, and who's right? You're going to see this a lot on my channel. You've been seeing it. I know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Turk knew what he was talking about. D-Batch, too. He was running with it. Same thing. Him and Nib and all those other people. They do the same thing over and over again. Now, what I find funny is this what I said at the beginning of this video, and then we're going to look at what I said at the other ones, and we can end this. But the point was, is you all got proved wrong. So what you got to say about it? Come clean. Correct yourself. Be men.
At this point, it's time to take some body shots. No,
That's
Kevin
right.
Fatura, I'm not farming for engagement here.
Yeah, no. So here's the beginning of the video. What's going on, gamers? What's going on, everyone? So you guys know I've covered things in the past about Black Myth Wukong, showing what Turk has done, proving that the Series S memory is okay and it can run fine. And that Game Science basically lacks console experience. They've even admitted it themselves. And then you had the clowns on the internet, definitely like Nib, trying to say that the Series S is the problem, along with other people saying the Series S is the problem, when really no, the issue was that they lacked console experience. And then we had, something that we still can't 100% clarify, but I think this is not necessarily the problem at the moment. Though some people were confused by Microsoft saying that we don't want to comment on deals made by our partners. I don't think it was a mistake that was said, and that's a very interesting saying. That's what I'm saying. It's not a mistake. So I that's not something I threw away. So that made people think that Sony had a shady deal going on with Game Science to lock it away. I didn't say something like that. But no, we've already proven, regardless of whether that deal was in place or not, that's not the problem here. The problem here is the Series S okay to run Black Myth Wukong on? And the answer is yes. Because yeah, that's what we wanted to prove, because to them, that wasn't a real thing. It was just the Series S. So once we shut that down, it's like, okay, so what is the deal now? It's going to be, did Sony money hat and Game Science is lying, or something else going on? Because that's weird. Series S can run it. So what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like in my mind at that point, I'm like, I'm deducting it. You know what I mean? But if you're a fanboy, you're thinking of ways to defend the corporation instead of just being intelligent. So I'm like, no. And then, we got this one right here. You know what I mean? Game Science lied. You know what I mean? And Sony shade. What's going on, gamer? So this is going to be obviously some more, let me say, pony nonsense going on in this video being exposed. And also, Turk, once again, who actually used to be a hardware dev for console manufacturers, is proving some people wrong here. We can go up to his profile real quick. This is going to be very important about Black Myth Wukong and him proving people wrong that the game could be run under 8 gigabytes of RAM. And there's some lying going on. So you see here, former Xbox and PlayStation hardware dev now making AI GPUs. So he knows what he's talking about. This is going to be very interesting because after seeing this gives me some ideas about, once again, it's always in the back of my mind to not trust Sony because I do think they're shady and I do think there's some things going on. And Microsoft may have been telling the truth. Because like, comment, subscribe. Y'all have a great day. Let me know what y'all think, all right?